last Saturday, oh, for fuck's sake, Lucas, s'en fout de quand est-ce que c'est, écoute, juste dis, at the last sweat lodge, because that's when it was. Okay, at the last sweat lodge, whenever that was, on Saturday afternoon. After Friday, where I dealt with the shame a lot, Saturday, more ideas came to my mind. Was it Saturday? It wasn't Saturday. Hold on a minute, stop frowning. It's really important. Was it after it's when? Yes, it was Saturday, because you were supposed to do drumming around the fire and you did not join, but it was raining, so they did not do it in drumming. Okay. Do I start again? Or do I just carry on? Okay, this is what I drew after the sweat lodge. Normally, in my later years, I've not allowed myself to do very much of this drawing. During the holiday, Barry said to me, why don't you start drawing? You've got the time now. And I thought that's such a good idea. I bought a little book and did a few drawings. But the thing is, I want to show this one right now. Okay. This is done with Stickman. It was an attempt at expressing myself and being in touch with the child that I have been going through during the sweat lodges, because we do go back to our child states for all the anxiety of breathing and all the rest that happens during a sweat lodge. So I drew this in conjunction with my 5-year-old to help her express, to help me express. So this is a very simplified version of what I discovered I was, or I thought I was, during the sweat lodge. Hello, I am Alexandra. So it starts like that. I am Alexandra, and my identity. We all have an identity, who we believe we are. We are not just that human being. We are our past, we are our experiences, we are everything. I am Alexandra and the fibroid. That's my identity. I am that person, that woman with the lump in the uterus. Now, I can't read this upside down, so read it yourself. Oh yes, it's about a 15 centimeter fibroid. I am Alexandra, with no toenails. I feel shame. You will notice the toenails are drawn, and there are no toenails on this Stickman drawing. Look how awful my feet are. World record of ugliest toes. This really is drawn because it's ridiculous as well, as in, why should I feel such shame about my toenails? This is about the identity, and this is the thumb. Missing this one here. The black, in case you worry, is propolis, because propolis is a great antifungal. Hello, I am Alexandra, with all the shameful, devaluing diseases I want to hide from my family and society. I carry my identity wherever I go. I feel no other feeling but shame and inacceptance of this change in my body. I am inferior, Alexandra. This is how I feel inside. This is how the 5-year-old feels inside. Look at her. Oh ben ça alors. I get paranoid of others' thoughts and words and feeling unclean and lesser. This is a reproduction of what happened in France maybe 5 years ago when I went. There is someone here saying, how unsightly are your toes? Aren't you doing anything about it? Once younger, my aunt saw my courageously open sandals. I felt very hurt, extremely hurt. This is what family brings you. I told her I was already doing dozens of treatments for it. I was so upset. In the night I created a bit of pink nail with my mind. 2 weeks later it was back white. I am sick. That's to show the power of the mind. I was so upset I actually managed to make something happen. But I don't know what I did, I can't remember, and I never managed it again. I met, last time, 2 aunts who said the same thing. In France. You still have this fibroid? Why don't you have it cut out? I've heard that again and again, even my landlord has said it. I replied, hurt, that I wanted to heal it naturally, and it did not cause me harm, except anxiety of looking weird, which I didn't say. I felt judged, inadequate, inferior. My identity was part disease, misunderstood. Did they really want to know me? Do my family really want to know me? And this is going back to the first sweat lodge where I felt actual hatred towards certain members, which I didn't think I had inside. Needless to say, I am not in a rush to visit France again, and my aunts and most of my family. The thought of visiting France filled me with anxiety, and it still does. But fortunately, due to this and this, there is no need to travel at the moment, for me anyway. The thought of never being good enough to deserve their attention or love or concern. Do they give a shit if I'm dead or alive or about to die? Really? Is a question the little girl was asking herself in the sweat lodge. But I know it will heal one day when I finally recognize my power inside. And I know that does exist. Miracles do happen. Whether you like it or not, they have happened for many people. The powers that I am in denial of possessing, that's something I found out that I am in self-denial of, is how powerful I am inside. So I keep my identity, which gets harder and harder, denser every day. The identity is everything that has been drawn so far, as well as all the things I've not drawn. Yet I try all natural remedies and nothing works for any of my diseases. So I see my mind like this. My identity has taken shape physically into a dark, dense obsession which created neuron death and deeper rooting of the negative thought and the negative pattern. This came up in the second sweat lodge. I was so anxious. I could not breathe again, just like the first sweat lodge. Here was really blocked up. And when I breathed, I was on my back. And the lump was just up here. And I felt I couldn't breathe. As soon as I touched my fibroid, I felt anxiety. Is it going to kill me through breath? That was the anxiety that was coming up. And, oh, it's never going to heal ever. And that's the anxiety, as well as the thumb, as well as the feet. And that anxiety, after feeling it again in my head, I asked myself, where do you feel this anxiety in your body? So, or how do you feel this anxiety in your body? Then that's where it was actually like the thought was so thick and so much in a rut. I've thought so much those thoughts of negativity that they are so thick and set in my mind. So I felt it was like a bar in my brain, but I drew it as a lump because it's easier to imagine a lump. It's more normal to have a lump than a bar of metal inside your head that constitutes a negative thought about again and again and again, with no capacity to heal, because that thought is so fucking thick and so powerful with negativity that it doesn't allow any protocols that I do outside myself, only work temporarily and they never work enough to engender the healing. Well, only a little bit, but not enough. So that's how I visualized the thought and the feeling of anxiety I had within my body, particularly in my abdomen. And we have here a drawing of Dr. Joe, who says, I will only heal if I change who I am, says Dr. Joe with the 10 stallions. I am envious of his ranch and 10 stallions, so I follow his plan to make it happen. My mind locks me out after a few weeks of brainwashing myself from Dr. Joe Dispenza's teachings. I failed again. It started working. It really did. And then I could not access the gratitude. I could not access the state of mind that I had managed to access. It is like my brain, my mind locked me out of being able to make a difference in my life. That's how it felt. It's all a symbol, so it's not a truth, of course. So there's no drawing there. It just says, I imagined my mind. Since I can't change my thoughts, I imagine my thoughts recurring and painful as lumps, and made up new physical neuron links around the dark mass, sparkling. This is illustrated in the last drawing, or one of the last ones. With divine energy, I imagined around the lump of hardness of negative thought and repetitive pattern. How can I create new thoughts, new pathways? I imagined my brain lighting up around the hardness. And as I was doing that, imagining neurons firing, new neurons who haven't fired with each other before, creating new ideas, but I didn't know which ideas they were. I didn't have to imagine what I wanted to become. I just imagined neurons firing all around that huge mass and liquefying it. Because what can a hard mass of repetitive negative pattern do if you've got all new pathways and you're concentrating in your head on the light emitted by these neurons firing the electricity they are sharing with each other, you stop looking at that, you stop being within it, because your eyes are too busy creating these new patterns all around your brain. And as I was imagining that in the sweat lodge, my eyes were going all over the place, and there is a link between eyes and the brain, as well as eyes and the liver. But the eyes and the brain, and for the the compartmentalization of the of the brain and the eyes, it was just creating it. It was amazing. The thought of that, and then that's the last drawing, is the image gave me peace and stopped my thought. And that was then the end of the 5-year-old meeting with my old self. It was so helpful to draw this. It mattered a lot to me. To most people, this is nothing, because it doesn't matter what they think. To me, it helped me, and it helped me connect with what I used to connect with a lot when I was younger, is that inner child, the inner self. And not just because of trauma, but because of wanting to reconnect with an energy that's different to the energy I am now. As an adult, as a grown-up 43, 44-year-old, I really feel I have lost a lot of the connections that I had when younger. With myself and with nature. I didn't trust when I was younger, but I know now I have to do my best to trust. So we're getting there. This is what I wanted to share. The shame really was strong in the sweat lodge. What actually happened is I felt so stifled by my clothes that, as well as wanting to leave the lodge and be alone, I just wanted to rip it off. I wanted to rip everything that was holding me back off and feel free, which is why I wanted to make sound. I wanted to make tones, but it's not the right place in the sweat lodge. He didn't want me to do it. It wasn't really... He said I could, but he didn't want it, and she didn't. She just said, it's okay, in the dark, when I was making noises. Well, I know it's fucking okay. We've just talked about it outside. I just want to release sounds. Can you just stop telling me it's okay? Because just let me do it, and then it will go. But people don't understand. When you sometimes when you want to release, you just want to be left alone releasing. You want to express what is blocking your body so much. That's what I feel. And that's why it's so frustrating when people tell me, they start coming and say, are you okay? Are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. I'm fucking okay. I just express. Just bugger off. Just let me express, just let me expel this pain, this whatever is locked inside. But to go back to the sweat lodge, it was the shame that was the strongest point of the sweat lodges, and I want that clothes thing. What I said to them, I don't want to go in if I have to have my clothes on, because even though it was very loose, when it was all damp and wet, it was sticking to my body, stifling me. So they said, oh well, just take it off inside, you don't have to take it off outside. But I felt much freer after. I know it sounds like I'm teasing you. I'm not teasing you at all. There is no sexual connotation other than I have been an atheist, and people don't wank in front of you. They're private, so please be respectful. Thank you. It was the idea of feeling free was really helpful. I did feel better. It was difficult to be like that because everybody else was wearing clothes. But it was also, when I came out, it was dark, but you still saw a little bit. But I just, chucked water on myself, naked, and you know what? It felt so good because I did not have to feel ashamed of my body all my shame was exposed. Of course, it was a bit dark, but my belly, the toenails, the skin redness, wherever it is, I was there and all my shame was with me, but it wasn't anymore because those four human beings I was with were accepting me naked without criticizing me or throwing stones at me. And that really meant a lot. So I would say from this sweat lodge, I feel the shame is a lot less strong now. I feel that is healing. And when I managed to get over fully the shame, I know the skin will heal because this is a manifestation of shame. Emotionally, it is really strong. I know a lot of us don't believe anything like that. They believe emotions have nothing to do with our elements. It's not what I believe. I believe we are one whole consciousness, and what is showing outside is something that is happening inside. And if we shut the symptoms, we can just expect more shit to happen inside that will not be as nice. This is it for now. Thank you, Alexandra, for listening to me again.